Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're not quite yet to the new month. We're about 6 days away, but I guess according to the Gregorian calendar, welcome to August. I always like to joke on the first of every month. I say, bills are due. We all have our to-do list. It's a new month to get started with new things. And I was just saying earlier before the recording started, August is one of my favorite months to prepare the slides and talk about Feng Shui and BaZi. There's so much going on with the monkey month. And actually, in reflection, I started doing these Zoom workshops a year ago, which started in the monkey month last year. So if you've been following all along, thank you so much for your support. If you're new or kind of in the flow here, welcome, welcome, lots to learn. So let's just dive right into it. Like I said in the past, if you've missed our previous chats before, you can always go back on YouTube. I usually upload it the next day if you miss it. And I always like to encourage people to maybe, as you're preparing for the new month, you're kind of listening back to the previous month and taking some notes and asking yourself, how did the energy really manifested in my life? What transpired? What were the highs and the lows? And if it was a clash month or a nobleman month or a penalty month, how did that energy show up for you? And this is really meant for you to become more intimate with the elements, specifically how it impacts you. And so the more that you can pay attention to the interaction of the elements, I think the more tangible it is and the more beneficial it is moving forward. Okay, so let's talk the monkey. Monkey. So the monkey kind of, marks really the halfway point of everything. All right, so August 7th. And very different from the Gregorian calendar. June is not the halfway mark because remember, our calendar system begins on February 4th. And there's so much going on, like I said, with this monkey, but somebody needs to mute themselves. Okay, so think of the monkey as a yang metal element. And it's yang metal, meaning very, very big. So think of it as a gigantic piece of metal, all right? This metal is strong, it's durable, it's big, it's cold, right? And it symbolizes the meaning of loyalty and protection. Yang metal people are warrior-like. They're very, they're advocates for justice and fairness. They have altruistic kind of characteristics about them. But if you think about a giant piece of metal, whatever metal it is, it's not quite as useful in the long run because you have to wait until the fire energy shows up to melt the metal, right? So when we're melting the metal, we're able to better manipulate the metal into something more useful, something more beautiful, like a ring, a key, whatever gems, that you may have harvested from the earth, and then you kind of mine it into something beautiful. So I'm using this description, and hopefully you're using your imagination to kind of think about, okay, how am I going to show up in August where I can be molded and melted into something more beautiful and something more useful, okay? August 7th is also the start of the autumn season or fall. I know for us Arizonans, it's really hard to fathom that it is fall when we are scorched in this heat. But regardless of the environment that we're witnessing, we have to learn to connect with the essence of the season, okay? So imagine if you close your eyes and you're thinking about fall, and maybe you were already thinking about that back in June, okay? But when you close your eyes and you imagine that first feeling of fall, it's like, ooh, things are a-changin', things are a-brewin', and you start to feel that sensation in your heart and your mind and your spirit, okay? So just kind of stay in that space while I go through the materials today. In Chinese medicine, the metal is related to our breathing organs. So I wrote the lungs and the skin, but it really is related to all the orifices of the body, which includes our nose and our ears, etc. But we want to pay attention to how we are breathing, okay? And I'm not just talking about literally how we are breathing, but also symbolically, how are we breathing at this state, and at this time in this calendar? Have we been breathing very shallow because we're anxious, we're busy, we're prioritizing too many things? Or am I able to breathe more extensively because I have space, I have the time, right? Such luxury to have space and time. So I want you to think about your breath, okay? And how can I move and breathe into the second half of this year with more intention? You know, is there something resisting my breath? Am I holding my breath? Or am I able to like exhale and really release? This is the energy of autumn, okay? It is that exhale, but there's so much going on before the exhale, like the movement of exhale can happen, okay? And we will talk about that too. And with the energy of the fall, it brings about this feeling of like we feel nostalgic, you know, kind of like going down memory lane back in the olden days, right? Whatever it is in your story. It could be before I became a mother, before I started my business, before I got married, you know, back when my father was still alive, like whatever that feeling, going back down memory lane. And guess what, guys? It's okay to think of our past. It's okay to reminisce and to remember those things, okay? Think of like August as a period for remembrance, okay? I know that sometimes in the West, we kind of, you know, shoot down, oh, don't hold on to the past, like stop looking back. Again, everything is in moderation, and again, everything is intentional. So if you're looking back, for what purpose? Are you looking back because you're stuck, right? And you can't get over the past, so it's very difficult for you to move forward? Or are you looking at the past with a different sense of appreciation and perspective and light and motivation for your future to say, those were the days, they were good. And how can I reinvite that goodness into my life today or into the future? Or if it was very difficult, how did that shape me, you know, today? And how can I transform that so I can move forward in my life despite the pain, despite the hurt, despite the disappointment, right? So looking back in the past is really depends on the intentionality behind that. I would encourage you, as you're maybe journaling or meditating, whatever your spiritual practice is in your life, is to maybe pinpoint one or two key moments in your past, maybe one good point, like a high point, one might be a low point, okay? And just kind of breathing the space of love and gratitude and appreciation for those memories. That may include an event, an experience, a place, or the people in that time. So if you're able to do this, then you're actually in cooperation with the elements of autumn, okay? You're not resisting it. A lot of times, you know, when we don't understand how energy works, we could be going about our day, being busybodies and, you know, trying to be productive and hustling like a crazy person. And then suddenly, you know, somebody could say something and it brings you back to the time, oh, 14. And then you start to feel sad or nostalgic about it. And you stop yourself because you're like, I'm too busy hustling. I'm too busy getting stuff done. I don't have time to go back down memory lane. So this talk really, for this month at least, I'm just inviting you to allow some of that to happen more intentionally and with a purpose. And so with that, we can start, you know, of course, sometimes when you think back on memories, it brings a tear to your eyes and you start to feel these sensations like grief, you know, and not a lot of us are very comfortable with that feeling of grief. You know, we always talk about just wanting to be happy and positive and excited and la la la, rah rah rah. And hey, that's all great and awesome, but we have to honor the season this way, and we have to honor what the season represents in terms of how do we move energy, you know, in our bodies, in our mind, body, and spirit, as we cooperate with the cyclical timing of the season. Okay, so I would say the theme for August is like the beginning of the end. You know, it's not quite the end, so it's not quite let go. I hear this, you know, a lot. People preach it in coaching and blah blah blah. It's like, just let go. And then I have people go, how do I let go? What do you mean I have to let go control? What do you mean I have to let go of that pain? You know, there's so much work that needs to be done in preparation for letting go. You know, even the trees, they don't just like, the leaves don't just suddenly fall, right? Fall off the tree. I mean, unless there's a tornado or a haboob, right? Then it just comes. If you think about it, that feels more like a clash. If we were to put it in BaZi terminology, when we're not ready and then the clash comes, it's like hell or come high water. You're just forced to change. You're forced to let go. But this is not so much about clash. It's really about observing how now nature is beginning to change, right? What is nature doing? It's like the animals are starting to prepare their, you know, their nook where they're going to hibernate. They're starting to fatten themselves up, you know, to prepare for hibernation. The leaves are just starting to change colors, okay? They haven't fallen off the tree yet. So when you use that image or that analogy in your life, I want you to really kind of set the tone and say, okay, well, what do I need to prepare myself for the actual, whether that's a symbolic or literal meaning of letting go, okay? So stay with that. We'll talk more about it. And we're moody. People's moods are beginning to change, okay? That's why there's so much going on with this monkey month, okay? People that you are used to seeing super grounded and, you know, very articulate suddenly are kind of discombobulated or a little bit more emotional or triggered. And the opposite could be true. Some people who are generally more anxious may suddenly be a little bit more, you know, nonchalant, like, you know what, it's okay. And so you're going to start to see these very subtle, they can be very, very subtle. I want you to really pay attention to the people you interact with, you know, including yourself. How are you manifesting that change within yourself? Okay, while also focusing on the breath. Nobleman, getting right into it. This is a Nobleman month, okay? August 7th until September 6th or 7th. If you were born in the years ending 5 or 9, okay, or if you have your BaZi chart, you have the yin wood or yin earth element at the top, then this is your Nobleman month, okay? Get to work, ask for the help, do all the things that you need, the extra boost to get going, all right? It's a beautiful time to take risk, okay? So that's how you're going to optimize on the Nobleman. Also Nobleman for those born in the day, oh, see, I already found an error, which I'm going to change immediately. On the day of yin wood or yin earth, okay? So if that's your day master, obviously, this is also your Nobleman month, okay? So much good stuff. Clash, want to pay attention to clash with the monkey, okay? If you have tiger signs anywhere in your 4 pillars, if you were born in the year, month, day, or hour of the tiger, then this is your clash, okay? Clash, talk about really working with the with the season, like you're really changing with it, okay? So imagine there is the organic and natural shift that's happening, right? It's like the yellowing of the leaves. It's natural for the leaves to turn yellow. But then if you have a clash, it's like, oh, there is a tornado coming. And it's gonna not just take out some leaves, it it may break a few branches. How about that? Okay, so when you have clash, be brave and be willing to receive and cooperate with change. So asking yourself, what am I ready to do different this month? You know, is it just a simple thing like, you know what, I think I want to really get off sugar. Maybe that's not so simple, but it's a change, okay? Or maybe I want to start saying like less, you know, like this, like that. Just something to improve upon yourself, maybe. Okay. So change. All right. If this applies to you, work with it. Don't work against it. Okay. Knowing that that tornado can come. So be as prepared and grounded and rooted in courage. Stephanie, I have a triple clash. Yeah. So movement, okay? It's good not to do the same thing over and over again, kind of like Gopher Day when you have a clash. It's good for travel, okay? It's good to change up your routine. It's good not to be sitting down for a prolonged period of time, okay? Because you feel really unsettled, all right? Itchy butt syndrome, okay? So however that works with yourself and your schedule and your circumstance, just know that minor changes in physicality, like, you know, maybe I'm so used to working from home, but maybe I'm going to change it up a little bit and I'll go work at a cafe like that. So lots to say about that, but that has to be more tailored to you specifically, because we don't know. I can't tell, obviously, just by looking at this, you know, how else it's being impacted. Is the monkey a favorable element? What else kind of combination of energy it creates? So there's so many anomalies, and clashes can manifest very differently to different people. But I think you get the gist. Okay, so clash. Take care of the feng shui of your house when you're under clash, because energetically you're more vulnerable. Okay, you're more sensitive. Okay, think of it as like it's impacting your immune system a little bit. So my throat's kind of scratchy, so I'm going to take vitamin C and, you know, start to take some zinc, like you're kind of boosting yourself. So that's how you also want to take care of your personal energy from a BaZi and feng shui perspective. Okay, so we'll talk about feng shui here a little bit. Now, I don't know if you know, this little baby, she was dubbed Baby Jessica. This is a very famous story that happened in like the late 80s. So Jessica McClure made headlines because the story is she was out playing, I don't know, we don't even know how it all started, but she fell down a well, and there was a well in her grandmother's house or aunt's house or something like this. She fell down the well, and we can see that Jessica was born in 1986. She was the year of the tiger. Okay, so what happened was on October 14th, 1987, so she was like, what, 18 months old, something like this. She fell down the well on that particular day. And guess what? That was a monkey day. So she has the same kind of clash. That is a clash. She has a tiger in her 4 pillars, and the monkey showed up on that particular day. And what was she doing? She was probably playing, crawling, you know, what toddlers do, and found herself a hole, and she fell. But so that is a clash, okay? But what's interesting about this story is that the monkey is also her nobleman. So many people ask me, Jen, what happens if my clash is also a nobleman? Does it cancel each other out? I know I have to repeat myself every time I talk about BaZi. No, it doesn't cancel. It just means you endure and survive the clash. And how did she survive the fall? She survived. She's alive. She was alive. Now, she was a little bit hurt, obviously, but she was alive. It took the rescue team almost 4 days to rescue her. They couldn't rescue her on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, but they finally rescued her on the 18th, which happened to be a rat day. And guess what? The rat is her nobleman. Okay. I have so many of these kinds of examples. Okay. If you've been following BaZi all along, have taken my workshops and classes, you'll see I always have so many of these examples, but I wanted to use Jessica because this is a prime example of when a clash also happened to be a nobleman, and why nobleman is so special, obviously in dramatic cases when we're in danger, but we're not always in danger. So nobleman can also be very, very helpful when we just need an extra boost in what we're doing. Okay, so that's Jessica McClure. Now, a couple weeks ago, I put together a YouTube video on how you can derive your nobleman and clash stars if you have your BaZi chart. So this does require you to have your own chart. You can go on my YouTube page and watch this video. It's like 7 minutes long. It's just helpful to have this in reference. So if you're following me on Instagram, every day I do post like an energy post, just talking about the energy of the day. And I give you a heads up if it is your clash or nobleman day. So it is helpful to at least be familiar with how to look at your chart in reference to that. Okay, next, let's talk about the mood. All right. So like I said earlier, now we're transitioning into the metal season, and that's the emotion attached to the metal season, grief. Okay. So don't fight it, don't ignore it, but also don't dwell. Okay, because why? It's just for a season. Okay, we always move in and out of seasons, so our emotions move in and out. The whole point here is not to stay stuck in one particular situation, okay, but to honor the natural timing of things. Okay, so I found this beautiful poem because I love poetry and I love just the the art of language, etc. And I found this beautiful poem by Emily Bronte that really talked about the essence of fall. And I want to share that with you here. Fall leaves fall, die flowers away, lengthen night and shorten day. Every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. I shall smile when wreaths of snow blossom where the rose should grow. I shall sing when night's decay ushers in a dreary day. Okay, so this is kind of like the duality of life, right? Is we celebrate new births because we've suffered loss. We know what loss means. We celebrate milestones and accomplishments because we know what it's like to fail and to be disappointed and to not have something come to fruition, right? And so it's the same thing. How can we really fully enjoy and embrace the highs of life if we don't honor the periods when we have the lows in life? And so that's the message. This is just such a beautiful embodiment to me anyway. I hope it is to you too. It's a beautiful embodiment of fall, the autumn season. So maybe take a screenshot of this poem, attach it into your journal book, carry it with you, and just sort of that remembrance of what August really means. And another thing that's really a big deal about August is, yes, it is the halfway mark of the calendar, but this is also it's the meaning capital THE. It is the transition from yang to yin, all right? Yang is represented by spring and summer, all right? It's the white part of the yin and yang symbol, okay? Which also means heaven. That's why the yang sign's always on the top, all right? And the month of August is kind of like now here, August is right here, that tiny part of that black part, which is the yin cycle. And then it only gets bigger as we move into September, October, November, December, January, you see? So this is August. And whenever you think of transition of anything, whether that's a transition in the calendar, transition in your luck cycle, right? If you follow your own BaZi, you're in your 10-year decade, you're getting ready to transition, you'll notice that there's so much going on. There's a lot of tension, a lot of friction, and a lot of momentum that's happening in that transitional time before the action itself is manifested, right? It's kind of like you're getting ready to make a decision to do something. You haven't done anything yet, but it is that process of thinking and dreaming and planning the decision before you make the decision to do something. So I hope that makes sense. So I really want you to stay in that. Transitions are inevitable. They happen all the time. Okay. And it is sort of the story of our evolution of important life events in our life. They are necessary. Okay. And transition means that change is coming. Change hasn't happened yet, but it is coming. Okay. So think of that. All right. Transitions, they force us to get ready to let go. Okay. To let go of what is familiar, what is safe. And now, OMG, we got to face the future with uncertainty. And you know, that brings a lot of emotions for some people. And that's why transitions have a tendency to provoke stress and it creates imbalance. Okay. So we, in the month of August, as we're feeling nostalgic and kind of sappy and, you know, and we're like, just remember to check in, you know, to say, is this pushing me down to a depression? If that is where I have a tendency to go. Is it pushing me to binge if I have a gluttonous addiction, for example? Whatever that is your thing. That means August, you really need to take care of yourself, being very transparent about, hey, maybe I need a friend to check in on me, or I need to have a little bit more social activity so I can process some of the stuff outwardly and not let it stay too much in my head, and I can create these imbalances that affect my mental and spiritual health. It's interesting, there's a research group, psychology, it's called the Bridges model, and they actually talk about the 3 stages of transition, and really transition, the stages to transition is, it starts with ending. You know, something is ending, it's like, oh, the days are getting shorter, like ending, and then losing it, it's gone, poof, no more, it's done, bye-bye. When those 2 become reality, only then are we truly able to let go. But a lot of times when we're doing spiritual work or we're being coached, sometimes we're in a hurry, like, ugh, that experience is too painful, I just want to let it go and forget about it. You know, we try to speed up the process, but we can't, okay? Because the transition of letting go requires us to have that reality of really understanding what is ending. And the endings sometimes in life feel like we're dying, you know, like, oh, I got to sell my house. Oh no, I walk away from that job that was like my identity for the last 20 years. Okay, oh, that relationship is ending and that took up a whole big part of my life. Oh, it's ending. And then losing means it's closed, it's done. There's no more going back, you know, there's no more take-see, back-see. It is what it is. Only then can you really begin the process of letting go, okay? So it's really interesting to also look at how the economy works, because I don't have it here, obviously, because I'm trying to get us to be done within the hour. We like to observe the movement of the stock market because people play the market and people are governed, or their emotions are governed by the elements. And so that's why we always see the market go up when there's a lot of fire element, okay? And the market goes down when there's a lot of water element. Fire means joy, water means fear, okay? So when we're feeling joyful, we're bolder, we're more enthusiastic, so we take risk, right? But then when there's too much water, we're a lot more hesitant, you know, anxious, more conservative. That's why the market's slower. So you can kind of see these summary if you follow the market. As we kind of closed out July, right? July 26th, 27th, we had like some of the biggest boost in the economy, you know, with like these consecutive runs, you know, like, wow, so good, 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 good. And then good, 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 everything goes up, right? But it will be interesting to start to see how the market begins to move now as we enter into the autumn season. Okay, so now this, of course, does not consider any kind of manipulation, any kind of interference. Okay, we're just talking about the natural cycle of Mother Nature and how the elements move within our day-to-day. But this doesn't include, you know, if there's big tech or big legislation or big something or another that might be manipulating it. Of course, that is outside of the workings of the natural cycle. So you see this month, August, is actually Yang Metal Monkey. It's metal. There is absolutely no fire, okay? There is an absence of fire in this particular month. That means the fire energy that's responsible for momentum and kind of like holding things up, you know, and the energy of fire is going up like flames, like this smoking up air like that, okay? That's gone. This fire is bye-bye. So is it going to be a bear market, or will the bull market start to slow down? And here's just an example, kind of going back to the pre-recession, or is it recession? Yeah, I guess it's called recession. You see, in 2006, it was a fire year. Then beginning 2007, 2008, these were very, very strong, very powerful water years. And so that was the big big recession that we had with the banking and the housing, et cetera, et cetera. And then we started to recover again in 2013, 2014, because that was the beginning of fire. So now this is talking about a whole year of behavior. But I want you to just kind of pay attention to the seasonality of the second half of 2023. So there might be some, and I always say every market wins in a slow market and some industries win in a fast market, right? So it just depends on which side of the game you're playing, all right? So being a little bit more conservative. Here's a summary for you for the monkey. All right, the theme is really about preparation to exhale. If you ever taken a yoga class or a breathwork class, you know, it's very rare that the facilitator would say, just exhale. They usually say, take a deep breath and then exhale, like empty the belly, empty the lungs, right? But it's only after you've taken the inhale. So think of that word preparation to exhale, okay? Looking at nature, looking at it in your mind's eye, the transition of the season, okay? And ask yourself, how are you incorporating this in your routine, you know, the seasonal realities in your day-to-day, so that you can begin to let go. Really asking yourself that. It would be so interesting to hear from you guys, like, what are you ready to let go? Like, you know what, I'm done. I'm over it. So I'm ready to let that go. But this, again, it depends on the individual, like how honest you are. You know, a lot of us live in denial because we're afraid or we're not ready. You know, I'm too busy. I can't think of that right now. Right? So how honest are you, you know, in your preparation, so that you can move internally and dig deep and find the courage to say, I'm ready for that, okay? And pay attention to the signs being shown. These signs may have already popped up in July, okay, going into the month of August, kind of like, ooh, maybe that isn't working. You know, maybe I need to pivot, that needs to change, okay? 10 ways to prepare. So here's some tips. I want you to really reflect on the external events of the last 6 months. External, okay? What has happened to you that weren't expected, okay? That caught you by surprise. It wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't on my vision board, whatever that is, okay? What is it in the last 6 months that really affected you, moved you, changed you, okay? And all the feelings in between, okay? Write that down, okay? Now, after you do that, I want you to reflect on your internal events, the things that you have planned for yourself. You know, at the start of the year, I want to do this, I want to do that, okay? And really assessing how far you've come, including why you're behind or why you didn't do it, okay? So this is the reflection of internal and external movements. And then I want you to put the yucky part into words. Okay, the yuckies, setbacks, disappointment, pain. Put it into words, whether you write it down in your journal, in a letter, or you tell it to somebody, you vocalize it, okay? So I no longer want you to keep it in your brain, in your heart, okay? I want you to really actualize these setbacks and disappointments or pain without mincing it. Don't say, you know what, Jen, you were really behind on getting that project started, but you know, I got all the good stuff happening too. Like, no, full stop. Really honor that particular setback and disappointment without making excuses for it and without like ending it on a, I call it the gaslighting positivity to make yourself feel better. Okay. I really want you to stay in that. Okay. Just for a moment. And then I want you to really look around at the clutters in your life. Okay. This is like literal clutter, like in your house, in your drawers. All right. All that paperwork that you keep in that box. And then also the symbolic clutters in your life, in your mind and in your heart. Okay. What kind of rumblings are happening in there? Okay. So this kind of goes hand in hand with who and what is burdening you. You know, it's the weight that you're carrying because you have all this clutter. And sometimes the clutter is just a habit, you know, or a thought like, I have to earn $100,000. And you're finding out that maybe that goal or that thing that you thought was so important is actually beginning to be a clutter. It's clouding the rest of your life in enjoying the process, or it's too tunnel vision and it's not helping you to see the bigger picture because that particular statement or goal, all right, or habit has become more like a clutter and it's burdening you. It's not lifting you up, okay? You're stuck, you're just in it, in the muck, okay? So get to the bottom of it, okay? Get to the bottom of it. This is the preparation, guys. This is what's going to prompt you to identify what it is that you need to let go, all right? And without that honest assessment, you're not going to be very successful and productive with the use of that in this month. Ask for help, okay? Always so important to surround yourself with people who are going to keep you accountable, keep you honest, but love on you to death, okay? Despite all of it. And finding that extra time of stillness. And I know August is kind of cray-cray. Kids are going back to school. We're all coming back from our summer holidays and, you know, we're back to cleaning our houses and getting back to all the routines. I get it. That's part of life. But we must also make time for stillness, okay? This is so important. Just do it. Stop making excuses. I don't want to hear anything. Any more excuses from anybody. Make time for it. And do your homework so that you can make your decision with confidence. You know, the decision is of what it is I'm letting go, right? Then there's no doubt. There's no second guessing yourself. Like, am I ready? Is this the one? Is this it? Stop it, right? Be informed, do your homework, be diligent in your assessment so that you can make these decisions with confidence. And then just trust the process, okay? We always have to come back to that essence of trust, okay? Action and inaction, all right? So that's the 10 ways to prepare. My new BaZi workshop that's happening in September is starting to fill up. If you are thinking about joining, I highly encourage you to sign up now. I am maxing it out. Because I want to keep the group small and intimate because we are going to be going through some really deep and awesome stuff. So, and this is only in person. I will see how it goes this first round, if I will eventually offer this online in the future. But for now, I'd like to at least hold it in person. Oh, somebody forgot. Okay, Melissa, you can actually go to my YouTube page and watch it, but you can take a screenshot or write it down very quickly. Be informed and trust the process. Okay, we have the BaZi training in January. Again, this is not yet 100% confirmed. I am only opening up the registration starting today. This is This requires some commitment from those that are signing up. For those who have taken the course before, you are more than welcome to repeat at a reduced rate to refresh. And remember, the tuition seems high at chunk, but this is probably about like what, $360 a month if you were to make this investment for 12 months. And we probably spend $360 just going out to eat for dinner, all right? Or some silly frivolous things that we buy like Starbucks coffee. And so think of this as an investment for life, especially if you really learn to practice and become one with it. This is an investment that will keep on giving, all right? This is not on my website, so if you have specific questions about it, please email me, and I'm happy to speak with you. Okay, moving on really quick to the Feng Shui, all right? So here we go, new month, new energy. The misfortune number 5, okay, our enemy is moving to the northeast sector of our house. So if you have this wind chime that I've recommended to people, you can easily relocate this wind chime to the northeast sector. If you have 2 floors, each floor needs to have one. If you have 2 rooms in that sector, both rooms need them, okay? So again, just make sure you have the correct cure in place. The sickness star moves into the center part of our house. And you know what I do with mine is I tape it on the ceiling, because sometimes the center of your house is open, right? Or there's a wall or maybe if it's just open, I tape it on the ceiling. Okay, so easy to hide. Very difficult Feng Shui elements this month. The prosperous stars are a little bit weak. Very, very difficult to activate, okay, in relationship to the 2023 stars. So I'm not going to talk about that here. I just really want you to focus on curing the 2 biggest negative stars. If you are buying a house, renovating, doing all the things, you know, if I'm in Arizona, love to help you in your real estate transaction. But I've also done a lot of consultations for people in different parts of the state for Feng Shui consultations, but also in real estate, like they're getting ready to buy a house or they're in escrow, they want to do an energy inspection, if you will, I like to call it. Definitely, here's just a quick outline on how I can help you, just so you're very aware of what you're getting yourself into, not just from a physical perspective, but also from an energetic perspective. So this is super fun. And we have to pay attention to period 9. That's the transition coming in 2024. I'm going to dedicate an entire workshop to talk about how to really take care and prepare of our house. This is a one-time go. This will take care of what's happening in the next 20 years. This is huge. Again, people who are building houses between now and next year, man, talk about like sensitivity right there, okay? Because we're not really sure when the construction will complete. And that will dictate, you know, the configuration, the essence, you know, like the natal chart of the house. So lots to consider here. But that's in November, and that will be also offered in Zoom. And I've decided to record it. So if you can't attend live on Zoom, you can purchase the recording later. But if you're in Arizona and you'd like to come to the ranch, please come and join us in person. That would be fun too. And then rolling out the Feng Shui class again next May. For those that are interested, similar for those who want to take a refresh, this is all on my website. And next month, we're getting ready again. Wow, thinking ahead, the Rooster Month. I'm leaving for Spain at the end of August. So I'm coming back, you know, right around that same time when the Rooster Month starts. So mark your calendar. All right, we're at the end. Halfway through the year, guys. So hopefully you're on track. If not, let's talk, okay? And schedule your BaZi session with me. The schedule is starting to book up a little bit. Would love to reconnect with you and see how things are going and help you kind of navigate the rest of the next 6 months. And in the best possible way as we move into the dragon year. Can you believe we're already going to be starting to talk about the dragon year? It's just really around the corner. So That's it, you guys. I did it in less than an hour. Wow. Good job, Jen. I'll stay on for a little bit if you have any questions. Otherwise, happy Monkey Month, everybody. So nice to see you. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye. Can you talk a bit about the stock market energy? How soon is a transition expected to happen? Is it just for the month? Yes, it is. It is definitely going to be starting in August, but it can go until October because that's the season of metal, August, September, October. And if you follow BaZi, you know that October is the dog month. And we say that the dog is the grave of fire. Okay, so that's when the energy of fire is completely gone. Okay, like not even a spark is left. That's why we call it the grave of fire. And in the past, I've done a lot of talks around stock market. We see that the Great Depression, a lot of the big boo-boos in stock market where things take a big plunge, they happen in October. A lot of economists even call October Black October for that reason. So it can last the whole season, but it will definitely begin in August. Okay. You're welcome. Okie dokie. Bye, everybody. Ah.